Once you venture out of your home, you're in danger. And where we're taking the story and where we're taking Ellie is like each step of the way, she's putting herself in more and more danger to bring these people to justice.
I would say that the world, in every sense of the word, is bigger than The Last of Us Part 1. Both in scale and the amount of physical space that exists for you to explore, for you to encounter other people.
Yeah, this route has its perks.
Our hope is to make every corner a challenge, make every decision hard for Ellie. And so we do that not just in the gameplay you experience, but also in the level design. So part of that is making certain experiences really hostile, be it through weather or through rivers or craggy cliffs or slick snow. But we also use it in terms of how blind the player is. Like, what can they see? How safe do you feel? Can you see a threat coming around the corner? You never know if the bullets in your gun are going to be enough. You never know if you can stop and bandage your arm. You can never fully breathe. And we want you to be in alignment with Ellie, who can never fully breathe when she experiences this trauma.
For Jackson specifically, we wanted to make it feel like a very close-knit kind of community that's focused on family, focused on sustainable ways of living. I obviously have the hydroelectric dam generator that's powering the town, so we have, you know, electricity in Jackson, which is not something that maybe players would expect to see in the world. But given that we're further in time, we wanted to show that there are certain people dedicated in the world to rebuilding a life that doesn't revolve around killing people and scavenging.
As you walk around the town, you can hear kids laughing. You could see people going into restaurants and eating. And it's a very kind of tranquil town. Now, we know there's all these horrible things happening outside the walls, but they've been able to protect the innocence of this town.
Jackson, in many ways, represents what is at stake for our characters. A life of peace and relative comfort. A life where you can fall in love, a place where children can play and it's okay. And I think, you know, when we were looking at building out Jackson, it's like, okay, how many of those moments can we represent? What's awesome about the world of The Last of Us is it shows just how precious the things that we take for granted in our everyday lives, how precious those things really are.
Seattle, compared to Jackson, is very different. It's more of a war zone, I would say.
Part of the interesting thing with Seattle or the Pacific Northwest is that there's all this rain and all this foliage and wildlife, and it's this very lush area that if someone were to settle down, it'd be a pretty good place to settle down just as far as the kind of fruit you can scavenge, the animals you can hunt. And then because it is so lush, because it is so teeming with resources, is why there are multiple factions trying to fight over those resources. One faction you run into in Seattle is the Washington Liberation Front. When the outbreak happened, the military took some pretty drastic actions and quarantined parts of the country. And this was their way of protecting the population that has survived this horrendous outbreak. And because of that, it led to rise of these resistance groups. And in the first game, we saw the Fireflies. And we heard about other groups, and in this game, we get to see, here's another group that rose called the Washington Liberation Front that was able to defeat the army and thereby take over a lot of their equipment. And they're this very militaristic faction.
And at the same time, you have the Seraphites. And they're a religious group that also came up out of the outbreak that believed that the pandemic came because of sin. They're trying to reset the world and return it to a better place than it was.
In The Last of Us, almost any group that has survived this long has to be dangerous. If you're not dangerous, you're not going to survive. You're going to become someone's victim. And the two factions you run into are both very dangerous. The WLF has a lot of military equipment that they're able to use to defend this area, and they have large numbers, whereas the Seraphites are very quiet and stealthy and able to use the large amount of foliage to their advantage, and they fight more in this kind of guerrilla warfare.
How you deal with them is going to be different because they have different language, they different communication style. The scars will whistle to each other with this different language. And they have some of the stuff that you have. You have a bow and arrow, they can hit you with arrows and impale you, and you have to pull the arrow out. They have big sledgehammers and melee weapons. The WLF, they have trained dogs that will sniff and attack you.
Dogs are a new level of threat that Ellie hasn't had to negotiate before, and hopefully they create a new complicated choice for the player. We saw in them an opportunity to challenge people's perceptions of what a combat setup can be. We wanted to find really hard choices. The dogs themselves have names. They're called out by their owners. We wanted every setup to be challenging.
Oh, that smell. Looks like infected did this. How many do you think it would take to bring down a moose?
Infected are still a threat.
I find. And I'm gonna kill. Every last one of them.
I want to see Mommy.
Hugo,
I want her to come back.
I'll carry you.
Mommy is dead, Hugo. You'll never see her again. Go away! Hugo, no! Leave me alone.
Don't take too long.
I hate you.
It's for your own good, Hugo.
I'm sorry, I'm sick.
They've come back.
Everything is all right now.
Why does she keep resisting like that? Only our methods differ. We have the same goal. We both fight the plague. Protect him, Amicia.
Well, look who it is.
I know your name, but not why you're here.
Renowned master and mentor, Accion Auditori de la la la.
It is a good life we lead, brother.
They never change.
Your father was an assassin.
Are hereby sentenced
To death.
Father! I'll kill you for what you've done!
Impressive. All that remains is the deed.
You flew, Accion! You flew!
You are the leader now. Unite the assassins.
Insieme per la vittoria!
And take back Roma.
If I want, I take! Kill the assassin!
I intend to write a book about you one day.
If you do, Machiavelli, make it short. Welcome to Constantine, Accion.
Fight with me and show him what it means to cross the assassin.
Italy, World War II. This proud nation has suffered under years of fascist dictatorship and growing influence from Nazi Germany. The Allied victory in North Africa has stretched the Axis hold on the Mediterranean to breaking point. The time to strike is now, but the Allies need more than a plan. They need a specialist, an elite marksman who can sow chaos in enemy ranks and hunt down the Nazi weapon system that threatens not only the invasion of Italy, but victory in Europe. Welcome to the most advanced sniping game ever built. A tactical third-person shooter delivering emergent free-flowing combat and genre-leading ballistics. Welcome to Sniper Elite 4. Central to Sniper Elite 4 is an expansive campaign for 1 to 2 players across the largest, most diverse environments ever seen in a World War II game. From sleepy fishing villages to mountainous valleys, ancient forests, and more. Still untouched by the bloody conflict that has ravaged most of Europe, each huge campaign level is many times bigger than any previous Sniper Elite game, offering hours of pure tactical combat, gameplay freedom, and epic long shots. Traverse these vast environments to find your ideal sniper nest, outmaneuver your enemies, or hunt them up close. Explore every inch for hidden regions, collectibles, and optional side missions that can be completed in any order. Deployed deep behind enemy lines, you must learn to observe the enemy and adapt to the flow of battle. With a combination of your binoculars and intel from Italian resistance, you can identify priority targets, track enemy movements, plan explosive ambushes, and pick out more creative opportunities. Use your athletic prowess to scale vertical terrain with ease. Get the drop on enemies for a range of silent takedowns from any position. Or find your own sniper nests to pick apart the enemy at range. Offering a deep and rewarding sniping simulation, players can deliver pinpoint assassinations from extreme distance, adapting to wind and gravity and adjusting for range with scope zeroing for long shots over hundreds of meters. And when the hornet's nest has been stirred, cover your tracks with a nasty surprise. Keeping your enemy guessing is the key to victory. Silenced pistols can be combined with distractions to torment enemy formations, luring them into traps and isolating priority targets. When engaging the enemy at range, you can now load silent subsonic ammo into your rifles, delivering a much quieter shot that's less likely to alert nearby enemy forces. Even without suppressed firearms, expert sharpshooters can mask their rifle fire by timing shots with artillery and other sounds of the battlefield. And make no mistake, sniper, you'll want to tip the odds in your favor. With hundreds of fascist troops, armored vehicles, and tanks in any one environment, every encounter will provide a stern test. Special attention must be paid to elite enemy units, such as the heavily armed Jaeger troops, or radio operators who can call in waves of new enemy reinforcements to turn the tide against you. But the enemy's strength can also be its weakness. Assassinate an officer and you can search his body for a logbook that reveals the location of all his troops. And while the enemy spotters can use their flare guns to call an artillery strike on your position, that same weapon can be used to rain down death on Nazi defensive positions. You might always be outnumbered, but you'll never be outgunned. With weapons and items to choose from, including iconic World War II rifles, submachine guns, shotguns and explosives, and heavy weapons for decimating vehicle patrols. Agents can adapt their loadouts for any mission. Players can also upgrade their weapons core attributes, from scope magnification to stability, recoil, muzzle velocity, and more. And no more crucial is your arsenal than in Sniper Elite 4's wealth of online co-op and multiplayer modes, set across 6 beautiful custom-designed maps, with dedicated co-op modes for up to 4 players. Your team play will be tested as a sniper and spotter, or pitted against ever-escalating enemy forces in a battle for survival. For competitive sharpshooters, 7 adversarial modes bring Sniper Elite's trademark mechanics to the fore, ratcheting up the tension in a battle of timing, position, and skill. Across challenging terrain filled with hidden sniping nests and deadly kill zones. It's time to deploy, Sniper. It's time to liberate Italy and set the wheels in motion for victory in Europe. Because one bullet can change history.
Your hunger may beget a fine shinobi. I expected no less from you, my boy. Sir. Listen, Wolf. You must never forget the Iron Code. Defend your master with your life. If he is taken, bring him back at any cost.
So the noble shinobi stands in our way.
It seems fate still doesn't want you dead.
You're a legend in the eyes of those who live on the battlefield. The world calls for wet work, and we answer. No greater good. No just cause. Now go! Let the legend come back to life.